Contribution today.
Thank
That's
you. Well done.
that's my contribution because I'm on my phone and I can't read these, so I'll just listen with intent as everybody else reads. So, okay.
Okay,
Hi,
thanks.
everyone.
Thanks for that, Claudia. Appreciate it. Uh, who would read paragraph 17?
I can start reading.
All right, thank you.
17. These and other adverse thoughts of the race work in the minds of men and produce all kinds of inharmonious conditions. Everyone who would overcome must have the understanding of truth in order that he may deal with causes intelligently and produce the effects he desires. If he says, I don't see whatever I did that I should suffer, or my friend is so good, it cannot be that his thinking causes his troubles. He is exhibiting his ignorance of the law of mind action and the power of thought. The negative race thoughts are working in the subconsciousness of all persons who have not fully established themselves in the Christ consciousness. Every overcomer finds that he must deal firmly with these negative race thoughts by putting them out of his mind and in their place putting thoughts of truth.
Thanks, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts that we might have of what was shared here? Any reactions? Leo?
It reminds me of koans. And a koan, I think, is something that pains your brain because it's not working in the normal way. And I believe something like that is happening here because uh, what are adverse thoughts? It's not always a bad thing because we need to make a choice. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah,
Hi,
Janet.
I'm Janet in Boston, and I really I read this before this morning, and it really took to me, and I resonated with it, and I thought about it. I guess I don't understand what it means to be fully established in the Christ consciousness, as opposed to established or not established enough. And the idea that it has made my history come into a lot of focus, that it was not until I started reading Myrtle and Emily that I really even understood about Christ consciousness and truth and those kind of things. And that then that started building up and started to put away the things that really they were nothing to do with me, but I was just carrying so much baggage. And reading this section has made me understand what the baggage was, and the in terms of race, or the race, the ancestors, and also that it's a real tangible force unless you are led to what counteracts it. And the kind of spirituality I was brought up in and then adapted as an adult, it didn't have that. It doesn't have this kind of language that Fillmorians have. And particularly in this year of listening to you all and reading things with a better understanding, really, of what I'm reading, because I realize you can read things and it sort of seems like it makes sense, but you don't really know what it means and you don't have anybody to ask. So I've really come a long way since I started here. And this, but I am interested in what am I missing to be fully established in the Christ consciousness?
Great question. Anybody want to tackle that? Oh, the true students have all gone quiet.
I'll speak on that, Marty, if
All
it's
right,
okay.
Dara. I
All
was hoping
right.
you would.
Thank you. God, that was a great question. Thank you for that. And I I wanted to know at one point in my life, what is it that I need to forgive myself for or others because it was blocking my door to open to what I wanted to feel, to understand, to hear about the truth of myself. I've since learned that you have to ask. So I started to say, Jesus, Christ, Source, whatever you call it, I give permission for you to bring forth through me what it is I need to forgive. And these old memories, I kid you not, were brought to my consciousness from my subconscious. And one by one, first of all, I was astounded in a way because, we are taught this stuff, yet, and just for me, sometimes it's not as deep as it should be to say, yeah, this is true. One by one, they were brought forward, and I blessed it. And some of them I had to kind of go through again and reveal and feel a little pain and then move into the forgiveness part. But if we ask, because I believe that we are given um, uh, respect to our free will and that is not interfered with. So we have to ask, we have to be willing to open up to these past thoughts in the subconscious mind. And once we give permission, they truly do come forward. Some of them we don't always have to know because through our actions, like in classes today, things drop off naturally from the past because we have our realizations and our awarenesses. And this is the gift. This is the grace. But some of them are kind of stuck in there, and I've had a couple. I think I've told this story before. I'm driving in a car and this memory comes up. I tell you this, folks. I've forgotten this memory, this past incident that was very humiliating to me as a young child. I buried it. But that day it was brought forth for me to face. And of course, as an adult and through unity, I was able to say, I forgive those children who did that to me. I do. And now I pass my love to them and totally felt what I needed to feel and forgive. So I guess the conclusion of this is ask. Ask to bring forth what you need to forgive and love in your life. And also know that if you don't know it, it will drop off naturally because of your love that you are forming within yourself. And this love, of course, then is just reflected to everyone because we are aligned with everyone. And that's uh, that was what I experienced, and I know some of you experienced something different, which is wonderful. But that's my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dara.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Wonderful.
How do you know? How do you experience the fullness of the Christ consciousness? How do we?
Does anybody in this group have it and know you have it? Or are you all working to get it? I think we all have it to a degree, but this idea, that word really rattled me. I thought, fully? What is fully? You either have it or you don't. But now I think that's probably evidently not true. There's levels of it.
Well, everyone does. Everyone is in the Christ consciousness. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so the only question is, at the level of our individual organism, are we willing to embrace that as true every second of the day. And it may take a version of kind of what I heard Dara say. It may take us to say yes every time no shows up. It may take us to notice every time that we find ourselves, quote, outside the fullness of the Christ consciousness, end quote, to say, I'm in the Christ consciousness. As our minister Dorothy Pearson used to say, I'm in the flow. And it may be, as she also said, I'm in the flow of I don't know, but God does. So sometimes it just takes the power of affirmation.
I kind of wonder if it's not, to Janet's point, like veils. And I think they talk about this in Corinthians as well. It's like behind the veils. And I think of it as veils, like sheer curtains that you keep moving and moving. And then within that, there's the Christ consciousness. But you have to release or erase or whatever. You can hear I'm having challenges here. Release or erase, release the veils, and then you get down to the essence. But veils because they're sheer, and that's how I think about it.
Thanks, Claudia.
Over here, I think of all of us as being a work in progress. So I feel the intellectual Christ consciousness and believe in the principle and do my prayer work and meditation to enhance that. But I still have other kinds of experiences, and I often say to myself, yes, I believe, but help thou my unbelief. It's hard to get over the crest of the hill of full commitment to development of something like Christ consciousness. And I guess I still feel separateness instead of oneness there. And that's what makes me say, through practice, I am a work in progress. And I do think I have made progress through a lifetime, but that's partly why we're here, isn't it? That's it.
There's a fullness of faith in that declaration, help me in my unbelief.
Yes.
So as I've said many times, God is in the belief in separation. God is in the desperation. God is in the fear. God is in the belief that I'm not one with God. There's no place where God is not. And so it's just, for me, all of this work, this is the brilliance of the Fillmores,
Yes.
both Myrtle and Charles, is that this is all about consciousness of what are we aware. And the human mind is capable of amazing feats of consciousness. That's what the great mystics have revealed to us. That's what Jesus, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Thomas Merton, Meister Eckhart, these people have all demonstrated that it's possible for human beings to enter into the consciousness that is the Christ.
Mhm.
And the fact that we believe sometimes that we've fallen short, if we're willing to just notice that God is in the belief that I've fallen short, I can re-enter into the fullness of the Christ consciousness.
Very good. Thank you, Marty.
Well, I think that's the challenge that we have, is that we've and this part of what these paragraphs are about is that we live in a world that does not believe collectively yet in its Christ, in its being nested in the Christ consciousness. And we're, as human beings, social animals, we're affected by the beliefs of the race. And again, if we just develop awareness of that, consciousness of that, that may be the key to allowing ourselves to recognize there's the Christ consciousness even in the race consciousness. Anybody else on this? I love it when you stir up the hornet's nest, Janet.
I don't. I feel like I'm taking up too much time and people trying to answer me. And I shouldn't probably even have asked the question.
So
but
would you be willing to believe that there's Christ consciousness in that belief?
not much. Certainly not the fullness.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'd like to add is one time I said, Dara, you've gotten so focused on the outside back when, and what would happen if you flip the coin rather than believing that the outside is my life, which it is not, flip the coin and really start to concentrate on your divinity. Make that the magnet of your life. Start to meditate and believe, first and foremost, I am the Christ. First and foremost, this is home. This is me. And the outside material things are just things that form, and they will fade away and dissolve. But this Christ, this light, this soul within me lives forever. So why not, and I'm saying this to myself, why not turn the coin over and let this be your full concentration? Give Caesar's what is Caesar's. I have to pay the light bill and whatever. But my fullest concentration, when I get up in the morning, I feel that Christ, this is the truth of us. And I walk daily in this. Bring forth you more through me. This is what I ask. And it takes practice, folks. It really does. And I'm still practicing. But if we just flip the coin and know that first and foremost, we are a lit soul of God, created from divine source. And the image and likeness of God can never, never change within us. Ever. But everything on the outside, I guarantee you will. So I told myself, concentrate on the real of you. Concentrate on your beauty, your magnificence, your love, and what you can give to others before I leave this earth plane. Thank you.
Thanks, Dara.
Okay, I need to ask this part because what Dara is talking about is what I did 8 years ago when I got sick. And I've spent 8 years doing the deep dive, the spiritual seeking, the everything related to that. What's happening now is I've been getting the dreams and the messages saying, you have to stop hiding. Hiding is this word. And I feel I don't want to listen to that. And I am trying to not resist having the next phase of medical treatment that is going to give me back the energy and the oomph to be that the reverse of what Dara talked about, to start being on the outside, to start being the part of the Christ that is the external part. I'm always liking the part where he goes to the mountain or he's hiding in the desert or he's sitting somewhere by himself. And I think I can do that. I get that. It's the part when he's in the crowds and people are all pouring at him that is like, I think, oh, please, God, don't ask me to be out there in a ministry or in a group or in anything that I've got to do something. Because I feel like I've been blaming it on ill health and aging. And my spiritual buddies are saying, that is such crap. That's crap. You're not 98. You're not, and you could be 98 and still be out there. You have been hiding. And now you're being offered to do something that might stop that excuse and you're waffling. You're not wanting to really, because my God, if I felt well, I would feel very guilty to be sitting around thinking about my Christ consciousness level. I'd think, oh, just go and do something for somebody. So I've got to go tomorrow and have the test. And I don't want to I really need you all to pray for me that I go and have the test and then follow the doctor's direction without fear that I'm going to be too well, too healthy, and then be called upon to do something that I don't particularly want to do. So I think that's why I thought if you could have fully Christ consciousness, you would know how to handle this potential change that's coming. And maybe the change won't even happen. I mean, then maybe they'll say, no, this is not the issue. So I just need prayers. I I don't know.
Leo?
I would like to share because I feel that too, Janet. And I mean to say, at least 2 or 3 times per day, I feel I am not inadequate. I am not adequate. And I make up excuses for not doing something. And it bothers me, but still I'm making up those excuses. So I'm working on it. And every time it happens, I say, I am adequate. What is the next little step to do? Thank you.
Thanks, Leo.
Would you be willing, Janet, to consider that you're in the right place?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And not only am I in the right place, but I've been in the right place since the beginning of the year, which has prepared me for this new change of events.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't signed on here, I don't th- I wouldn't have gotten involved in this at all. I would have just said, no, it's not that. I've been telling them it's not that forever. I mean, they all want to do a valve transplant, a valve replacement. And I keep saying, it's not that. It isn't. What do I know? How do I know it's not? I've blamed it on my poor, troubled brain for 8 years. And won't it be a good laugh on me if it turns out all of it is really the valve that should have been replaced 8 years ago? So I don't know.
But what I'm saying is you're in your right place, even in this quest for certainty, and even in the belief that you don't have it yet. Because we're always in our right place, first of all. And as we said in the daily word, and we're free to make choices. And as Dara was saying, we're free to ask for divine guidance in every one of the choices that we face.
Yes.
And
I
as
am
Leo,
in that place. Yes.
and as Leo would say, and sometimes we fall down and forget to do it, and we just get back up on our feet and do it again.
No, well, I'm in the right place because I've promised I will follow the doctor's direction. I will not argue. I will not insist that he's wrong and I'm right. How crazy is that? There's a lot of adjectives you could use for that. But that's been my 8 years position of no, I just know. I know. It's this. And then you get kind of because this famous cardiologist gives me this face. He says, oh, aren't you lucky to know so much? And I say, well, I just do. I say, I pray all the time and I just know. And it's kind of ironic. And maybe I do just know and it will all turn out to be nothing. But of course, I've started to worry that it's going to be something that actually needs to be fixed. So,
But Janet, think of the journey that you've been on. And that journey would have never started had you not had this. So, like what Dara was saying, this has been revealing for you in terms of your divine path. And, maybe you would have gotten there anyway. But this was the path that you took to enlightenment. And it's only been 8 years, and you're going to live an eternity, so in some form or another. So, who knows? So I did send a prayer for you to Silent Unity just now when you asked. So we got the big guns coming in.
Okay.
Not that we're not enough here. I'll just say that.
Thanks, Claudia. All right, there's more to be revealed here. Who would read paragraph 18?
I will.
Thank you, Leo.
How do limited race beliefs become a part of the consciousness of the individual? The dominant error race beliefs get into the subconscious of man by being carried from generation to generation, forming what is termed experience until they are accepted and made a part of everyday's belief and habits of mind and action. When one is quickened by spirit and awakens to the knowledge that he is the offspring of God, this realization consciously unifies his thinking with the ideas of divine mind, and he begins to express and manifest more of God's perfect life.
Would you be willing to read 19 as well? Because I think these two paragraphs go together.
You ask me, no?
Yes, would you be?
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
When man believes only in a physical heritage as a source of life, he manifests the limitations and imperfections of that state of consciousness. These limitations are the result of expressing beliefs that have been learned and accepted from human ancestors from whom one believes he has descended. When man learns that he is by nature divine, is in reality spirit manifested in physical form, his thoughts begin building a new consciousness. He begins to express and manifest spiritual qualities or ideas which are his inheritance from God.
Thanks, Leo. So what do we read here? What jumps out?
Well, I think we've all talked about how our upbringing, except for Velda's, our upbringing, was learning that we were different, under a different God. And for me, it needed unity, to change that.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I talk again, or have I talked too much?
Go ahead.
This idea, reading this week, that what I have carried with me is not just me since 1951, but it is the inheritance that goes back and back, and it is the ancestors are part of this package. I understood the subconscious, but I really never had language for this thing about the ancestors, except to say that until I was about 50, I only knew of my Irish roots and history and the generations and the drama and tragedy and negative, drunken, crazy, back and back and back until they went before they came over on the boat during the famine. I mean, I just kept thinking, oh my God, why did you make me be Irish? These people carry so much pain. And I really was so aware of the pain of the race. And then when I was about 50, it came through papers I found in my mother's old stuff that her mother came from a long line of very, very wonderful, amazingly brilliant Yankees. They were Yankees from the southern part of Massachusetts, and they were shipbuilders and whalers and ran a sawmill and were captains of whaling ships. And I spent a lot of time researching all these people and what they did and where they lived. I went and looked at these beautiful homes in this fancy town that was built by these people. And I thought, my God, you've got a whole line of people here that are not just in the Irish group. And it changed everything for me. It flipped the switch. That flipped the switch back then to say, you're not just a pathetic, generations of Irish crazy. You've got all these people. And I I still I think about it a lot. I just never understood it in the way it's described here because I feel like if I had known that when I was 20, I think my life and my education and everything about the early start would have been very different if I'd had a little spunk from the Yankees. So this is everything that's written there is really true and it's really real because it impacts choices and self-perception that you I really never really had any reason except to understand living in the hotbed of Irish Catholic world in South Boston. I saw it all around me and I knew I felt the way I did about myself, the same as everybody else did, because we were Irish. And so, once again, the Fillmore thing has come through for me and really made me understand it. So,
Thanks, Janet. Leo?
Janet, the only Irish that I have met are beautiful people, warm, full of emotion, empathic, amazing. I love the Irish. I love them with all my heart.
Thank you for that, Leo. You're speaking to an Irishman here. William Leverich was drummed out of the Corps in England and came to the United States, to Jamestown in 1640. So we've got a little history there. But what I wanted to say to Janet, you went back and you looked at both the negative sides of things and the positive sides of things. And somewhere in there, you made a choice. And I recall reading a book about I'm okay, you're okay. And it talks about, you made me angry. Well, no, you didn't make me angry. I chose to be angry about something. And I think when you chose to accept and look at the positive side of the Irish things, you were making a choice, and in a way that was part of your consciousness and a part of your realization of divine order. And so I realize you're quite grateful that you made that choice. But we make choices about all sorts of things, and it's we need to sort out which is from consciousness and which is from divine order.
That's good.
Can I tell you one story of the first Irish I met? I was invited on a party, and we were in a pirate ship. So that whole company, I was a contractor that time, I got invited. That whole company was there, and that restaurant was remodeled into a pirate ship. And there were all kinds of performances on little details. So there were all people sitting there. And one of them was a bit of a middle-aged young man. And he carried a fiddle. And he was looking at people for like 10, 15 minutes. And then he started to use his fiddle. And he was precisely expressing the mood of the people he was addressing. And guess what? That man was Irish. Wow. happen.
Thank you, Leo. So what is this what we're talking about here? What does it mean to believe only in a physical heritage?
I'd say that are the people that threw the Jews in the camps.
Say that
They
again,
just,
please.
I think that is that part that people believed, and those people threw the Jews into the death camps. And the death camps from Stalin, and the death camps from the Japs, and the death camps everywhere. It's about this particular thing.
Okay, how so?
Well, they just judge you by genetics.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that speaks to what Dara was saying earlier about what side of the coin are you looking at? And this is obvious to me, this is the physical side of the coin. And what I got from Dara's comments were that, we need to flip the coin and focus on the other side of the coin, which looks at our intrinsic internal value or our Christ self. So,
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I kind of look at it from a different view for myself. I know that I've been incarnated with many lives and many ethnic uh, forms. So in this life, I I don't focus on my ethnic. I focus on my spiritual lessons because what about the things I went through as an Asian person or an African American person in my past lives? Um, I'm in this life and this life only, and in this consciousness awareness, working to express that inner Christ. So I don't really take on my, ethnic background. I was sitting with my father. I remember, obviously, it must have been pretty heavy conversation. He was talking about we were Jewish, and he had mentioned about the concentration camps and some of our family. And he says, you need to be careful, Dara, because they will, if it happens again, they will come and get you. And I remember looking at my father and saying, Dad, I can't live in fear all my life. I wouldn't live my life if I did that. And I was 10 years old. And never another word was said by him. Not another word. I think that he understood what I said. But as I grew, of course, I got into unity and other things. I realized my ethnicity has nothing to do with this life. It's my spiritual ethnicity that matters. If my mom says, Dara, the um, her grandfather was Irish, the Irish, it had nothing to do with me. Mom, I'm me. I'm an individual. I make the choices that I want to make today. And I said, I don't care what my grandparents did. And they must have been wonderful people. Um, but it matters what I'm doing. Who am I? Who am I in this life? I am a divine image of God. And that's my biggest, I don't want to say concern, but my biggest attention in this life. Thank you.
So, Dara, what I'm hearing is that you are a particular instance of what this sentence here says. When man learns that he is by nature divine, is in reality spirit, manifesting in a physical form, his thoughts begin building a new consciousness. And that seems to me what you just said, that was your experience.
Correct. Correct.
I
I'm
mean,
not
this is abstracting your particular experience.
correct. Correct. Yes.
Cool. All right, let's move on. Oh, a new topic. And it's a perfect segue, given what Dara just shared with us. Who would be willing to read the next two paragraphs, 21 and 22? Leo, thank you.
Practice in overcoming. What two mental steps are taken in overcoming? The first step is for the individual to place himself consciously by faith in the Christ consciousness and hold himself there by training his thoughts to think on God's ideas. This step is taken by the conscious phase of mind, the intellect or thinking faculty. One must consciously open his mind to divine ideas and must refuse to recognize anything but good. Thus, the change from error consciousness to spiritual consciousness is accomplished in one movement. The complete transformation, however, comes as the result of a second step taken by the subconscious phase of mind, the realm of feeling. The thoughts of good are taken into the storehouse of the subconscious phase of mind and produce states of mind that eventually bear fruit in the outer.
Wow. Thanks, Leo. My friends, those two paragraphs are the key to everything that we're working on here. So what do we read? What do we thought? What do we think?
Oh, for me, it happens every day. I meet people. I am like I'm placing myself in a certain state, and many times I still do it unconsciously, but I can feel by what is coming up in what corner I am. And at that moment, I take a decision. I say, no, I'm not going to percept this thing here, this happening, this meeting, this communion. I'm going to move to the corner of Christ consciousness. And then happens really something in one movement. And it is one movement only. And it works. So for me, it is those two steps actually. But the awareness comes when the feeling comes that I am in the wrong corner. And then I move to the right corner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um,
Yes,
what
Andy.
what I'm hearing from several people is the idea of training. The word training kind of stuck out to me, because we're all in different stages of that, or um, uh, but the idea is the initial training and doing things like this, or just other things day to day. It is an ongoing training. I just never thought of the second step, and so that's new to me.
Cool. Thanks, Andy. So what I read here is that, and this actually jives with my own experience, so it must be true. Um, what I read here is that we cannot make a change. So we're born into the race consciousness. The race consciousness trains our subconscious mind. Those little kids that Claudia is working with right now, her grandkids, are being trained by the race consciousness because they're not capable yet of making their own choices. They're not capable of consciously putting themselves by faith into the Christ consciousness. That takes time to grow and to be able to do. So our our subconscious is programmed by our family, our local culture, our general society, et cetera, et cetera. And so in order for us to make a change, we have to first become conscious that there's something to change. And that's where we place ourselves consciously by faith in the Christ consciousness. For all of us, we all came to that through our own individual journey. Some people didn't do it till we found unity. Other people had other openings into it. But something happened for us where we started to say, this ain't working. There's got to be something else. I want to know. And then we do the practice. This is the training thing that Sandy, you were talking about. The complete transformation comes as a result of the second step taken by the subconscious phase of mind. So in essence, what we're doing is we're reprogramming the subconscious mind that was programmed into the race consciousness, beliefs, and assumptions. We're now consciously reprogramming that every time we make an affirmation or a denial. Anytime we do what Leo said, we notice that something isn't working, and using Dara's term, we flip the coin. And you can't flip the coin except consciously. We flip the coin and we affirm the Christ consciousness, the Christ presence that's reprogramming that subconscious so that over time, we just automatically start seeing when we're in error consciousness, to use a phrase, because our subconscious now is in that consciousness. So for me, that's why these two paragraphs are a brilliant summary of what we're doing here. We have to be conscious first. We have to make choices. And oftentimes our consciousness comes because things in our lives have failed. I mean, what drives somebody to Alcoholics Anonymous? Well, I can't control my drinking anymore, and I don't know what to do. And oftentimes it takes falling to our knees to become aware that there's something in our consciousness that's no longer working. And then we undertake the journey. Okay, well, what would be better? And many times, some of us have wandered through many different environments. Some of us may have looked to the Buddhism. Some of us may have looked to 12 steps. Some of us may have looked to different kinds of weekend seminars. Who knows? And it doesn't really matter until something wakens in us and we go, okay, this is the practice I'm looking for. And then, like Leo said, we practice, practice, practice. And that practice, that daily willingness to, again, Dara, great term, flip the coin, is reprogramming the subconscious so that at some point in time, we find that our inner world is much more in alignment with that Christ consciousness than with the race consciousness.
Woohoo! Thank you, Marty. I'm glad you're recording this. Thank you so much.
Marty, doesn't what you just said, doesn't that in a way just amplify what I said about we choose to be angry. Nobody makes us angry. We choose, and so that can be just amplified and carried on as you've stated through here. It's up to us to make the choice to view our life as part of divine order and part of a consciousness of faith and spirituality.
Yeah, and that's the trick, isn't it?
Yes.
Because for my life, I can divide my life into the period of life where my subconscious mind ran my life, because when I got angry, I just got angry. I didn't question why. I was compelled by some inner emotional force to move into anger. And so I had no choice. I was a prisoner of my own subconscious mind.
Mhm.
And then at some point in time, something happened by grace. I began to realize what you said, Veldon, is that, oh, I might have a choice here. And then I've worked for years and years with my subconscious mind, and because the subconscious mind's very, very powerful, at least in my experience, and it's very stubborn.
Well, what I find myself not doing is not choosing to react in the proper manner. A good deal of things is just an instant reaction and of anger and so forth over any particular situation. Uh, so, this all reminds me that I need to be more consciously aware of making the proper choices instead of letting things choose for me.
Right, and getting to that place where we have that awareness is that second step, that we've been doing this over and over and over again. So how do you train the donkey of our subconscious mind? Well, over and over and over again, we make it do the same new thing until it gets it. And so that at a certain point in time, we become aware, like you said, that we're having an experience that might be able to be run differently if I make a different choice,
Well,
which
and
is
you're literally reprogramming your subconscious mind.
right.
They call it moving from a state, which is when you're conscious, oh, dang it, I have another choice. That's conscious, a state, to a trait, which means you automatically choose the other choice. So
Yep.
you have a trait of positivity as opposed to just a state of positivity when you choose. And that, that's what the Buddhists talk about, and that's what neuroscience is now talking about. And
Mhm.
that
I'd like to add one thing when, Marty, when you said when you fall on your knees, I think that is so important to compare it to I give up this material thinking. I surrender to the truth of myself. I give in to the truth of myself. I ask for help.
Yep.
And that's what they do. They God bless their souls. And we do it in everyday life. I had a moment last year where I had to surrender. Okay, I surrender. Why am I doing it myself, Dara? Why do you do that? Ask for guidance. And every time it comes, it doesn't fail you. It can't. It's a law. If you ask, you shall receive. And oh, our consciousness. I mean that word itself. One time I was experienced a person and I was about to get defensive. And that's gotten better and better in my life. And I said to myself, what if you think the other way? You have an opportunity here to think this situation, per choice, per consciousness, to react in another way. And this is what you always wanted. Why don't you try it? And try it and try it. And, we're discussing neuroplasticity here, yes, but it's much more. It's bringing through that spirit to re-enlighten us, to make us aware and know we've made the right choice. But first we have to surrender, I believe, to this lovely, beautiful reality of having a soul within this body, because this physical body won't be here forever. What will we have? We will have pure spirit. No pain, no suffering. And that's what I I thrive to become, that pure spirit. Thank you.
Thanks, Dara.
Mhm.
And Dara gets the last word because we've come to the end of our time together. And so I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm going out of country tonight, and I'm going to be in Costa Rica for the next couple of weeks. I intend to hold this class next week from there. And the week after that, I'm going to be flying back, so we're going to skip that week, but we'll convene next week. And so with that, thank you, everybody. Gretchen, thanks for joining us. Dara, good to see you. We welcome you back anytime that you're free. Sandy, welcome back to you too. And we affirm that, Janet, your experience this week is going to be soul enlightening and satisfying. And with that, let's say our prayer for protection together. The light
The light of God surrounds
surrounds us.
The
The
love
love
of God
of God
enfolds us.
enfolds us.
The
The
power
power
of
of
God
God
protects
protects
us.
us.
The
The
presence
presence
of
of
God
God
watches
watches
over
over
us.
us.
Wherever we
are,
are, God is.
God is, and
all.
All is
all
well.
is well.
Thank you, Marty. Enjoy
Thanks,
your
everybody.
outing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bye
Love
bye.
being with you.
Bye.
Good,
Thank
a good
you.
meeting.
Absolutely. As always.
Yes, as always.